I'm Daniel Odongo, who was born blind, and today I can see you. And furthermore, I fly planes at Wilson Airport. My attempt to carry up my hand, I was not chosen. I tried even standing on my seat, he never considered me. And I decided not to stand up on my seat and carry my brother up. Then he said, okay.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining us on The People Show. Today we have with us on set a very special guest, and special he is. His name is Abdi Ali. Abdi is a deaf person, but is also an advocate for people living with disability here in Kenya. Abdi is a vocal person, especially on social media. If you go there, you won't miss to find him there. And hence the reason he is with us on set today, to just communicate to the public and also tell them a little bit about himself, what he does and why he does everything that he does. Abdi, welcome to the GBA studio once again.
Thank you very much.
Abdi, maybe you can just start by telling us a little bit about your early childhood and how you grew up. Abdi, were you born deaf, or is it a condition that caught up with you in the course of life?
When I was a child, I grew up, I was like you. I was like any other person. I grew up, but at the age of 10 years, I became a deaf person. I was very sick for a long time. Yeah. I was dialing, then I was not taken to hospital. The reason why, my mother and father were in Philly. Then we continued, then I became ill, and I didn't went to hospital. I remember one day, my father opened a radio, and that time there was a dance, a Somali dance. Then I was feeling it's very sweet. Then later, my father tried to lower the voice. Then I asked, why are you lowering the voice? And the people are sitting. My father told me, no. Other people are hearing it. Well, why don't you hear like them? Then we continue. I went to Wajir for my assessment, and they found true I was a deaf person. Then my father decided to take me to a hearing school. That's a place where I endure a lot of challenges. Our teacher was talking, but I was sitting there. I didn't understand anything. It was very hard for me.
Wow. So how are you able to cope in this classroom with kids who can hear? How are you even able to know whether the teacher was talking to you or asking you a question? Does it mean you never answered any question in class?
When I started from a nursery school, when I was 10 years old, yeah. Again, I didn't understand anything. Even my name, I didn't know. A to Z, I didn't understand. And the teacher was at the same time speaking, and I didn't understand or hear any voice. That's why they always pity on me, pity me, I didn't understand. Then my father later took me to a deaf school. Then I saw my teacher was a deaf person. I was very surprised. He was signing, and that's why I started learning sign language until today. I'm using my language. I can write, I can do anything like any other person. That's why we are equal, and that's why I'm proud to be a deaf person.
How about your high school education?
When I finished class 8 education, I decided myself to go to a hearing school. I didn't want again to go back to deaf school. I said, let me try a hearing school this other way, from Form 1 to Form 4. When I finished Form 4, I went to a college, current technical college. I studied for engineering, and then I graduated. Then I decided to look for a government job. But I didn't decide to look for a government job, but I decided to do my own job.
All through this time, as you are involving yourself, you decided yourself to go to a hearing school that is in high school, and you are able to study well throughout the time. So is it because you have some small sense of hearing, or is it because you can read lips?
No. Only I want to I wanted to just to show that I'm equal to any other person.
All right.
Yeah, I can understand English. All subject was very easy for me. Kiswahili was not hard. The teacher was talking. Maybe the teacher is talking, but I can use the book, and that's enough for me. Sometimes I use interpreter. Yeah. Sometimes I use the book to copy from the book. Yeah.
In my encounter with many people living with disability, especially the deaf community, there has been a big challenge in terms of medication. When they fall ill, either they go to the chemist or they go to hospital. Then sometimes in facilities you don't get people who are able to sign and stuff like this. Personally, did you ever come across such challenges as you are growing up?
Yes. Thank you for that question. We have a lot of challenges. Around 2 million of deaf in Kenya, 3 million, they have a challenge. For example, there was a girl who went to a hospital, and then she asked the doctor, I have a problem, because she was pregnant. He was given some deworm medicine. Then the lady became very sick, and the parents sometimes went to hospital, and they tell maybe you have some worms, but the problem is that the doctor gave him the different medicine, and that's the challenges that we have as a deaf people. We hope that government, they will try to have a new constitution to say that each institution should have an interpreter. Now they are ready, they are trying to change some few areas. Maybe some private hospital, they are trying, yeah.
I understand right now you are an advocate for people living with disability, and also mostly for the deaf community. You are championing for many rights of these people. Probably maybe you can share with us what moved you to decide to be an advocate of people living with disability.
Me advocate for them. Why? For deaf are like any other person. Me, I remember many years ago, we were oppressed, but we were silent. Then recently, we decided to come out from silence. Yeah. Then we decided to do a demonstration to call 400 deaf, and we went to Parliament to meet with PS. Then we talk about our needs as deaf. We tell them we have a lot of challenges. We gave all them everything. We had some whistle we shouted all over the town. I think you are aware about it. You know, deaf, they have voice. Yeah. Then we had to be higher until Honorable Ndwale came out. We met with him. Then we tell our request. We have problem. Our teachers don't know how to teach our deaf. Some are old and they cannot teach deaf children. We want a qualified teachers or doctors, and also we need interpreters. For example, maybe I'm sick STI, but deaf. You know, STI is something which is dangerous and does not need interpreter. Mean the doctor should learn sign language. Yeah. Mean they need all people to learn sign language. They give their proposal, and that they say they will give us the feedback after 60 days. So now we are happy. This is the first. We have a first commissioner. We have CJ. We have Deaf Youth Board of Council with Disability. Yeah. We have a person rights office. Also in Eldoret County, we have more than 56 deaf who are very proud. And that's why I'm happy. That's why I'm advocating for them. Me personally, I'm advocating for over 40 people around Nairobi to do their business. Maybe me, I don't like seeing deaf person or any person with disability baking in town. They have hands, they can do anything for themselves.
Yes.
They can use a wheelchair
Yes.
and sell sweets, sodas, anything for that person with disability to develop in business. You remember Governor Sonko?
Yes.
Yeah. He did what for a person with disability? Yes, he did nothing for a person with disability. But I don't know why we fought for him.
Have you found an audience with him? Have you sought even time to go and see him and tell him, Mr. Governor, we are here and this is what we want? He has not had you, anyone in his administration, to come out and speak to you? Maybe the Minister for Social Services in Nairobi County?
I live away with Minister of Social. Okay, we are talking about our friend Sonko. Before we gave some our business people some wheelchairs to start their business, but the county council are coming and chase them away. So you want them to go and beg from other people. So we should tell him that he can give our people with disability opportunities.
So it means that the county government is not supporting people living with disability, and especially those who are trying to earn a small living in Nairobi town, most of whom you support 40 of them?
But I thank Honorable Mandago is a very big example. He has over 26 people helping in Eldoret or Uasin Gishu County.
Those are deaf people working for the county government?
They are working in county government office. Yeah.
Now, these are some of the challenges that I'm talking about. In your own opinion, Abdi, what is the solution to such a problem?
I think our government to give us, the government should not give other people to represent us. I think it's better for us, people living with disability, to represent ourselves. Because you know those people are working there, maybe they can ignore us, they can have attitude, they say you are a person with disability. Yeah. So it's good for them to give us that opportunity to do, because we don't want to beg, we want to reduce that attitude from other people.
But Abdi, following you on social media, I can tell, and you also will agree with me, I've seen you interacting with very influential people in this society. You know, the likes of the Honorable Raila Odinga, some members of parliament, I've seen you interact with them. Have you raised this issue with them? Are you vocal about this? Do you tell them this? And if you've mentioned, is there anyone who has come out in support and maybe to help you in terms of raising your voice concerning the same?
When we were voting between Jubilee and NASA, I was very supportive to Jubilee government.
I know that. I know
President Uhuru is very near to me. Yeah. I remember one time, all people with disability went to State House. And then we discuss our issues, our problem, different job opportunities, the whole things. Then they gave us 1 billion LBO for person with disability. Then I signed it and we agree with President to share the money among the person with disability. But from that time, we have never seen that money.
Until today?
Yeah, now President is talking about 4 big agendas. But there is no anyone included in person with disability. They say 4 big agenda, food, water, different things, but I've never seen any person with disability represented there.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Abdi. In the agenda big four agenda, that is, there is a pillar that speaks about health. Is there anything that covers people living with disability on the same? Have you interacted with the document itself and looked at it, maybe to scrutinize and to see on the same?
Okay. About big four agenda, these are the interests of the people. Some people are represented to implement. Have you seen any person with disability? Have you seen?
No, I've not. Maybe I've not come across. Does that mean that there isn't?
Yeah, yes, we are supporting big four agenda. Yes, I thank President Uhuru with Raila. they are doing a lot of good job. And I like it. There is no drivers. So how can, for example, for driving, yeah, mean they should include the person with disability to do that. Yeah, and they share.
So you mean you would like to see people living with disability also given positions in terms of driving this Big Four agenda so that they can raise the issue of other people living with disabilities on the same?
Yes. I need Big Four agenda, need our deaf person to be included because you know the pain in it. Yeah. Maybe you can build a very big house, but there is no person with disability included. Maybe we should share this thing. Yeah, and it will be simple for us, and we will feel for it. Now we are feeling very sad because we are not included. We don't have power. Other people have power for us. Meaning the big agenda is talking about Siaya, Kisumu, but what about us deaf people or person with disability? We have nothing in it.
So basically you feel left out completely. And do you think this is a culture? Do you think this is a culture that we as Kenyans are embracing? Because if the leadership is doing that, it means people on the ground then won't even care completely if the leaders cannot care about you. Do you think it's a culture that is embraced by Kenyans, or is it something that can be changed? And how can it be changed if possible?
This starts from president and come down. It could be it come to office of deputy president, but we don't have an office of person with disability. Yes, president has his own office, deputy has his own office, but deaf don't have the office. But
your interest not being taken care of with some small offices at the bottom, maybe in the office of the deputy president or in the office of the president? Are there ministries that take care of your problems?
We want to start from aid, then we come downwards.
Going down.
Not from down to the aid.
I think we have a PS lady who is a person living with disability. We have John Mwaura, who is a member of parliament, who is a person living with disability. Don't they represent your interests? Are they not aware of what you guys are doing?
All of leave about politics, about the Mwaura. Leave that aside. We want to talk about president's office to appoint a person with disability. Yeah. To give them a space in their office to talk about politics doesn't help us.
When I mention Mwaura in the respect not of person, but in the respect of the office that he holds, because he is a member of parliament. And we know that it is the parliament that creates the policies that run the country. It is the same parliament that can actually create policies that give the president the power to make that rare or that new appointment, which of course we've never seen in our country, of appointing maybe someone in the office of the president to take care of, you know, the needs of people living with disability, don't you think?
That doesn't help anything. I can say again. We have different types of policies.
Policies, yes.
Yeah. We have how many? We have Kenya Sign Language and a language. Have you ever seen any MP talking about sign language?
Never.
If there is policies, but it doesn't help us, it's better for our president to appoint a person
directly,
to help us, and that will reduce the attitudes of other people.
Definitely, I totally do agree with you, and I can actually, feel the grievances that you're raising, Abdi. We'll now take a short break. Today, viewer, if you're just joining us, we have with us on set a very special guest, Abdi Abdile Ali. He himself is a deaf person, and he is an advocate of people living with disability here in Kenya. He's not just working in Nairobi, he's working even in different counties here in Kenya, and he's championing for the rights of these people living with disability. If you're just joining us, if you'd like also to send us a comment, suggestions or opinion, you can send that to our email address, info@gbskenya.com, or you can send us an SMS on 21144. 21144 is the number. We now take a short break. When we come back, we want to engage Abdi on the kind of work that he does in Nairobi. Does he run an organization, or is he just, you know, a lone ranger? Is he someone who just does all this work alone? We want to know more about that, and what are his views on the way forward in terms of, you know, helping people living with disability in Kenya. We take a short break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, viewer. If you are just joining us, you're watching The People Show. Our guest today, Abdi Abdile Ali, a deaf person who is an advocate of people living with disability. Quite a person, I would say. In the first half, we saw how he was so passionate, and he's speaking frankly about, you know, some of our leaders who neglect their responsibility when it comes to addressing issues of people living with disability, despite their commitment to do so or their promises. But I mean, as we all know, most of our leaders, politicians, they always make promises, but most of the time it's very difficult for them to fulfill this. I'd like to talk to Abdi more about a topic that, Abdi, you raised in the first half, about a document that you guys signed together with the president last year before the elections. And it is a document that was actually trying to air issues like, you know, health for people living with disability, education, job opportunities, and stuff like that. I don't know if you mind telling us a little bit about the content of the document, because I understand you're among the people who signed the document at State House Nairobi. Maybe if you can just share some of the content of the document and what they actually outlined and what it means to the people living with disability in Kenya.
To give the tenders for person with disability, then we will go and loan from Council of Person with Disability. But until now, we have ever seen that money. But I think our president is forgetting about.
Have you gotten an opportunity to go and maybe ask him and tell him, hey, Mr. President, you promised us something. What's happening? We're not seeing anything. Or maybe, I mean, Kenya is a country of surprises. Was the money given and eaten?
You cannot meet with president. Mm-hmm. How can we go and tell him? Maybe we can communicate through Twitter, but they ignore us. Mm-hmm. Every time they ignore her. So how can we go and ask him? I think the problem is our politician who has powers. Mm-hmm. That's why they forget what they had promised us. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm very surprised about it. And now they are talking about Big Four agenda. Mm-hmm. They are talking about Big Four handshake between Raila and Uhuru. Mm-hmm. That's nothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, we vote for nothing. Mm-hmm. What have I benefit from it as a person with disability? Mm-hmm. Me, I can see, I know the Deputy President office. We have nothing. The office of the President. Mm-hmm. We have nothing. That's why we feel disappointed as person with disability. Mm-hmm. And we hope in future, when we will vote again, I tell I better you vote for opposition than you say handshake later.
Let me interject and maybe just ask you, Abdi. Is it possible for you to mention some of the content of this document that you guys signed with the president, besides the LPO? I mean, inside the document, can you a little bit try and go into a little bit more specifics in terms of job opportunities, health, and stuff like that?
Okay, we only signed, but I cannot remember everything. Mm-hmm. But we agree only that they will give us 1 billion.
All right.
For tender for person with disability.
Yes.
to find jobs or any other things. I think the president alone know about it. Yeah.
So you sign a document and then now implementation is not going on. It's frustration to the people living with disability.
Nothing has been implemented. Me, I don't have any benefit from it. Our president is ours. President decided to go for handshake, but we are suffering here. Yeah. I remember now 2022 is near. Before he has promised to build houses, different things, but until now, I don't see anything. If I see maybe, for example, deputy president, maybe he has appointed any person with disability, then I may relax now.
All right.
Yeah.
Since the politicians are ignoring us, let us take a little, a few minutes and ignore them and talk about what is Abdi doing and how is Abdi able to support, per se, for example, the 40 people that you're supporting in Nairobi. How are you able to raise funds to give them the wheelchairs? Who is working with you? Who is supporting you, Abdi, in all this work that you're doing?
Before I choose 23, we had a meeting with 23 people with disability. Then we are partnered with a small organization named KHIR. This is a founder session for our Council of Persons with Disability. That's why we partner with them and we ask them to help us to purchase a wheelchair and umbrellas, so that our people use them when doing their business. And also we want to train those people. We ask them if they were ready for the business, and that's why we came up with 40 people. Today, it's 7 years, and it's already been implemented. Yeah. So where is your friend Sonko? He has done nothing for us.
Abdi is sitting Sonko. Of course, I cannot deny he's not my enemy.
Again, our county council, they are oppressing us, persons with disability. You can find a person is sitting in a wheelchair, but they threw him away. But that's why I think they think that a person with disability cannot do a job or what. Yeah.
Let me ask this, Abdi. Among the people that you support, are they only deaf? Are they only people with the physical disability? Are there deaf among them? And if there are other deaf people whom you are working together in projects, how are you helping them, and what are some of the projects that you do? I support all those people I supported are those who are not fully. Some are they have different physical disability. All right.
But they are not, deaf are not included.
Yes.
For example, I am a deaf.
Yes.
I can support a person with physical.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe a person living with albinism, he can go and help another person.
All right.
Yeah. It's only a politics that Kenya do.
So the other question that I would like to ask is, some time back I interacted with an organization that actually was trying very hard to generate material for sign language, that is small books for children to learn, like letters and numbers, colors and stuff like that. But then at that time when I met with them, I think the project was called the Sign Language Resource Center, if I'm not wrong. It was led by a lady called Monica. I don't know if you've met Monica. And she's also among people who are really championing. She's able, I mean, she can speak and everything, but then she's really a champion in terms of advocating for people living, for the deaf community in Kenya. Have you ever interacted with such organizations? And what would you say in terms of generating material for people, with hearing problem or with sight problem?
I know this organization, and we are working together.
All right.
We travel to different places to support teaching sign language, but that's not enough. Yeah. We need our government more to to be aware about sign language, to assist in funding of teaching our children. But our government themselves, they don't hear about us. Yeah.
So the government is turning is turning a deaf ear to the plight of people living with disability in Kenya. That's what you would say?
The government have attitude with deaf people. Yeah. If president himself come and appoint a deaf person, the deputy have not come to appoint a deaf person, how can other people come and appoint our deaf people? Yeah.
So it sounds very bad. I mean, it doesn't sound good that actually the feeling that some of the people living with disability have is that their government has neglected them. But what kind of awareness also are we trying to create, I mean, in terms of society or community? I want to talk a little bit about the stereotype, putting the government aside. Like you mentioned, people sometimes think of being deaf as something that is a curse, or being blind as something that is a curse, or a child who is born maimed is a cursed person. How do we go about trying to, eliminate or demystify such stereotypes in society? What would you say to our public today?
Okay, everyone, this year every year we have International Deaf Awareness.
Month.
We always start from Nairobi, we move to Mombasa, to different places in each county for our awareness for deaf person. And the deaf people become more. So this year we'll start, last year we went to Mombasa, then we went to Machakos, Nairobi, Kisumu, Nakuru, different counties. So we always have awareness. So last year we had a 1 week in Wajir County. And that was the first time deaf awareness. And the deaf people are very happy to interact with us, and they come to understand us. Yeah. But only few in village, those who are hiding their children. So we are continue advocating for them. So we can also use this media to create awareness for it.
Very true, very true. And that's why when I ask like that, some of your activities are not really known to many people. Of course, there is the Deaf Awareness Month. The Deaf Awareness Month comes on which month?
On September.
In September.
Yeah.
Now,
every September.
Every September. Yeah. Besides that month that you now take to go and talk to people in different counties, are there any other activities maybe that you do on a regular basis that our viewers can or should know about, so that maybe the next time you have an event, then they would want to follow your calendar and get to acquaint themselves more with the activities that you do and how they can support if possible?
You always have trainings for general person with disability or sign language training.
All right.
Yeah. Sometimes, for example, you can see all TV stations have sign language interpreters.
Yes.
So people in village, they see, who is this person? Is he or she mad? He's throwing his hands. Yeah. That's why maybe you can take to learn a sign language with him, and that's where you will come and understand.
All right.
Or this is it. That's easy. Yeah.
All right. I totally understand. But what do you think? Is this a step? I mean, can you give credit to media houses or governments or institutions for at least looking into the plight of deaf people? Because for many years, deaf people were, neglected when it came to TV programs and stuff like that. But today, Kenya, I think, is among the few countries also in Africa who are implementing that and are actually aware that there are a lot of deaf people watching and that they need this kind of interpretation. Do you think they should do more, or what is your opinion on that?
One thing that I hate is sleeping. When I'm seeing, maybe for example, TV station, we have interpreters, and they call for interview. A deaf person is there. an interpreter is called to be interviewing to represent a deaf person, it's better for a TV station to call for a qualified sign language interpreter. They are not enough. Some are just throwing their hands and saying their own things.
No, they're not communicating, you mean?
Yes. Some are not communicating well. Some are fighting there. I've seen many. Yeah. Some are throwing their hands and you cannot understand what they are saying.
They're just doing their own thing.
We need a qualified sign language interpreters in TV. So I have applied that all the TV interpreters should be. Speaking
of which, you mentioning that, I would like to also, pick your mind a little on this issue. During the funeral of the late Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa, there was that sign language interpreter who was on that stage. There was a lot of issue about whether he was qualified or not. People criticized him and say that he was not interpreting anything. I don't know if you followed the proceedings for the funeral.
Yes.
Did you notice? Or?
I followed. And you are also aware about it. All media stations are aware. Why did they not include a deaf person? Yeah, to a point. Okay, I'm not saying all TV stations.
Yes.
Some. Some they can continue. Yeah. Okay, some are maybe they are signing until they do their own things. Yeah.
So they lose the focus. Now, having said that, Abdi, you as an individual and as an advocate of people living with disability, what do you think, generally, what do you think is the way forward for Kenya if we are in any way to actually be able to address precisely and clearly the plight of people living with disability in Kenya?
When the constitution in Kenya was implemented, we were among, for those who are given 30% job, but few, I'm a little bit happy. I'm a little bit aware. Yeah, I can support for it. But sometimes there are some attitudes in it. Then if there is a big attitude, then even me, I can say true persons with disability are not recognized. Maybe they are business, we can teach them about business, different mainstreaming, especially in deaf community. Maybe they can send teachers. Those who know they don't know sign language, they come to school, they enter class, and they teach sign language, but they don't know the sign language. Then later the child is the one who is teaching the teacher. That is why the deaf child learns sign language from where?
We've had such cases, you know of such cases where kids were actually teaching, the student is teaching the teacher is not qualified?
Yes. If you want, visit me one day, a deaf school. Then you will see some teachers, they don't know how to sign. And the deaf child cannot understand.
Then who appointed them?
Then later the child is the one teaching the teacher.
Who appointed this teacher?
PSC themselves are the people who are appointing.
So what are the qualifications? Have you scrutinized and find out what are the qualifications of, employing teachers for, sign language in Kenya?
The certificate is the first thing which shows us this teacher is a sign language interpreter. Maybe he's a deaf, or he can teach a deaf person. the teacher should know sign language. Yeah. And then he or she go and teach the student. Yeah. Sometimes we can appoint a teacher, a deaf teacher, to go to a deaf school, and he go train from the deaf school, he practice or she practice. And when he has already know the sign, he go to the school.
Now, this one I also want to put to you. It may not be a clear fact, but you will have to agree with me that there's some element of truth in it. That some people living with disability opt to beg or to just receive help other than work and do something, by themselves. Have you come across such cases? And if yes, what are you doing as a person also living with disability in terms of encouraging them and moving them away from the culture of trying to just gain the sympathy and not wanting to work themselves?
I think in Kenya, I've not ever seen any person with disability begging. Yeah. Those people coming to beg in Kenya are from Tanzania and Uganda. They are coming from outside Kenya. They come to Kenya and beg. But we as Kenyan, we have enough funds from Council with Disability. We have millions, I think 3 million, which is ready for us. For person with disability. If you want to loan from them, you can loan. You do your business. Also, a deaf person can go, any person with disability, maybe for school fees, for business, for wheelchairs. I think which we have in our council is enough for us. Yeah.
So you're saying these people, they come from Tanzania. Then what is the deaf community in Kenya doing? Because when we see them, they are, Africans like we are. So we cannot tell he's from Tanzania or she's from Uganda or something like this. The deaf community or the people in Kenya living with disability or the council knows who they are. What is it doing? Is it interacting with them? Is it advising them in sometimes? Is it following up to see maybe what can be done about the same?
Okay. Each person in Kenya is a member of a council in Kenya. Maybe you go to hospital, they do assessment, they confirm you are a deaf person, they see a medical, everything, your ID, and they will know that you are a Kenyan citizen. Yes. And they will give you a card.
All right.
Yeah. Same too. I have a national card.
So they provide you with a document.
Many people always, they go and beg, they are not from Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I want to know a Kenyan who lives with disability, I will find them with this card from the National Council for Persons with Disability.
Yes.
And is there a way to create awareness about this, maybe for the people who are in the village and stuff like this? How does it go? How does the council go about reaching out to these people? Like you said, you come from where, Wajir or?
Okay, our National Council of Disability, each county have their representative in 47 counties.
All right.
Yeah. They have an office. Mean they should not come to Nairobi.
All right.
If it's Kisumu, they can go to a nearby office. If it's Wajir, any place, any county, we have an office.
So maybe I would like to ask this very, it's simple and straightforward. Abdi is very vocal on social media and he's always hanging around politicians, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not wrong. Do you aspire to be a politician?
Yes. Before I was nominated last time for 2017, but it brings a lot of confusion. That's why I lost, but I hope to stand again in 2022 in an independent party. These people are confused us, but next time I will stand as an independent candidate in 2022.
Well, good luck. Now, before we finish, because I understand our time is over, and then maybe just a message to our viewers out there, those with and without disability. What would you like to tell our viewers out there? That camera there at the middle, that's your camera.
Thank you for inviting me to this media. It's my first time to come and do the interview with you. I'm very happy to share my story. If you have seen any person living with disability there, may you help him or her to have a way to go and study in school. And if you see any deaf person and it's hard for him to go and learn, take him to a deaf school or direct me, communicate with me in Facebook because I'm always there 24/7. If you find any person from outside Kenya who is a deaf, please always help. Remember to help. Maybe you are on your way going and you find a person. Whenever you help one another, or you help three, and you will develop like that. Don't never think that person with disability are not good or
Yes.
they are like you. God himself was the person creating them.
Yes.
So we are all equal. Me, I cannot say I'm a disabled, I'm sorry. Me, I can say something. I can try, I can run, I can jump. Yeah. We are all equal in this Kenya.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Abdi, for coming to our show and also for speaking to us today. We are really touched, and I hope that our viewers will follow closely, and I hope also that we ourselves will take the initiative to follow closely on the issues that you mentioned, especially the issues, the promises by the governments and the local authorities on such issues touching on people living with disability.
But I have more questions.
Yes.
Please allow me. I want to ask President, please appoint any person with disability in your office. Even our Deputy President to appoint. Make us equal as person with disability. May you help us. Time will help us, even the local will know. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, viewer, you heard it for yourself, and I hope that Mr. President, Mr. Deputy President, I hope you watch this show, and also you get to listen to what Abdi is saying, and I believe that there's always a solution to every problem that we face in life, and where there's a will, they say there is always a way. Well, we have come to the end of our program today. Thank you very much for watching The People's Show. If you have any comments, suggestions, or opinion, you can send that to our email address. That's info@gbskenya.com, or you can send us an SMS on 21144. 21144 is the number. Until next time, thank you very much. My name is Timothy Omondi. Goodbye for now, and God bless you.